All right, everyone. Welcome to the weekly analysis video where I go into what I'm expecting the market to do. This week, we're going to be going from today, Sunday the 9th, until Friday the 4th. Excuse me, the 14th. So before we begin, let's just pray. God, we just give you thanks again for another opportunity to trade, another week where we can make money on the markets. Thank you for your blessing and for your goodness. We ask that you'll be to anyone watching this video. May it be instrumental in helping them to be a better trader. We thank you and we love you. Amen. All right, guys. So this week, as usual, I mentioned to you every single week, my bias never changes. As you'll notice, I have upgraded my background to reflect the fact that the US markets, particularly the NASDAQ 100 and the US30, which this analysis is based on, is 100% bullish. Okay, nothing changes. It's 100% bullish. Okay, if you have not watched the review video for last week, please pause this video, go back to the YouTube channel and look for the video where I outlined what happened in the markets as it related to the weekly analysis video that I posted last week. Okay, so let's jump into it. As you know, NASDAQ 100 is 100% bullish. Okay, let's look at the past 4 weeks, for example. Okay, week number one, market started. This was the lowest point of the week. Week number two, lowest point of the week, which was higher than the previous week. Week number three, lowest point of the week, which was higher than the previous 2 weeks. Week number four, market still was at a higher low. However, it canceled out all the lows that was made the previous week, but still higher than the previous 2 weeks. Okay. Of course, on Friday, the market ended with a new, well, it signaled a new low in London session. And also, it went up and completed the session on a lower high. Now, why is that significant? Well, remember, I mentioned to you that whenever the largest time frames are making the higher lows, it is common to see the smaller time frames break structure. They need to break structure in order to fulfill the higher low on the largest time frame. Okay. On Friday, we saw that the largest time frame that actually signaled a higher low was the daily time frame. Now, it took all week in order to do that. As a matter of fact, it took 2 weeks in order to create that higher low on the daily time frame. All right. Now, the funny thing about it is that many people were calling for the daily higher lows, for I don't know how many weeks, days. The last daily higher low was signaled on October 10th. Okay. Market ended with a daily higher low on October 10th. And notice what the market did. As soon as the market opened the following Sunday, it gapped up and continued going up for about another 7,000 pips, as you will see here. Okay, at this lower high point. Okay, similar situation happened on Friday. However, instead of waiting until the market you know gapped up and went all the way up on Sunday, it didn't wait until Sunday. It started to signal this on Friday. So the market ended on Friday at 4 p.m. on the 1 hour time frame. At 4 p.m., about 4:30 p.m. with a lower high. Okay. Now, here's the significant thing about this. Remember, I mentioned to you, whenever the market wants to actually create a new trend, the first thing it has to do is to complete a new low. Okay. Well, we got a new low here. Check. Okay. The next thing that the market has to do is that it has to go up and complete the first leg of the confirmation, which means it needs to go up and create a lower high. Okay, so you have a new low, then you have a lower high, first leg of the confirmation. In order for that trend to be valid, you now need to have a lower low. So new low, lower high, you now need to have a lower low before you can say that a time frame is actually in a bearish trend. Now, if the 1 hour gets bearish, it doesn't mean that everything larger than the 1 hour is going to be bearish. All that simply means is that the 1 hour is actually completing its bearish trend to fulfill a larger, higher low on one of your bigger time frames. Case in point, the daily time frame. All right. So here's what we saw. Friday, this is where we're at. Okay. And I'm just going to use one of my little icons here to show you where we're at. Okay. So this is the new low on the 1 hour time frame. Here's something interesting that happened on Friday. When you look at your 2 hour, you'll notice that your 2 hour is actually at a lower low. Okay. So has the 2 hour broken structure? Absolutely. 2 hour time frame has broken structure. Okay. Now you can look at this a number of different ways. Okay. Well, if you go back to your 1 hour, you may say, well, why is the 1 hour only showing the first leg of a breaking structure when the larger time frame, the 2 hour, is already showing that breaking structure? Well, if you look at your 1 hour time frame, you'll notice that this low right here is actually lower than these 3 previous lows. So this is in fact a lower low on your 1 hour time frame. Well, go to your 2 hour. It's a cleaner setup. Remember what I said. You need to first have the new low, which is the break. You need to have the first leg of the confirmation, and then you need to have the final confirmation to say that you in fact have a bearish trend. So on the 2 hour, the trend is actually bearish. There is confirmation that the trend is bearish. Will that continue? That remains to be seen. Okay, so here we go. We got lower high, lower low. Trend is complete. No questions on that. Okay, 2 hour was bearish last week. Okay, new high here was actually lower. New low here was actually lower. Lower high here, actually lower. Lower low here, actually lower. Guess what? Lower high here, this is actually another confirmation to say that the market actually wants to continue to be bearish. Well, we don't know that yet because the market can actually come, create a higher low at some point in time before continuing to go back in the trend. Okay, so here is what you are going to have to look at right now. Well, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to turn my camera off for a little bit because I got something going on behind me. So just give me 1 second. Let me just turn my camera off for a bit. I'll still be here, so no worries about that. All right, here we go. So you're still seeing my screen. So you have the first level of here of the confirmation, which is the lower high, which is what you really want to see. Now, this lower low that you have on your 2 hour, okay, how does that reference or how does that play into your larger time frame? Well, to see that, you go to your 3 hour. Well, your 3 hour is now showing a new low. Okay, that is now the first leg of the breaking structure on your larger time frame. So in order for you to see that bearish time frame, that bearish momentum, you would need to see a lower high on your 2 hour time frame. You definitely need to see a lower high on your 3 hour time frame, sorry, and then a lower low, just like you saw on the 2 hour. So the 3 hour is not bearish at all. It's definitely not bearish. Okay, that's for sure. Now, if you go on your 4 hour, same scenario. New low, but you need to see a lower high and a lower low breaking this level for you to confirm that the market is in fact bearish. Okay, let's look at the 5 hour. Well, same scenario on the 5 hour. You need a lower high and you need to see a lower low to confirm that the market is in fact bearish. Okay, let's look at the 6 hour. 6 hour here. Interesting thing. What do we see on the 3 hour? Well, on your 3 hour time frame, you notice the market is in fact at a higher low. Well, if I look at my last 2 points, what am I seeing on my 6 hour? Well, I'm seeing a higher high and I'm seeing a higher low. What does that say to me? That confirms that the market is still in fact bullish. So although it's bearish on your smaller time frames, your 1 hour, your 2 hour, your 3 hour, and your 4 hour, it's showing you signs that it wants to be bearish. Okay, it is still showing signs that it's bullish on your larger time frames. And remember, I keep saying to you, you always want to do your analysis based on your largest time frame. Okay, not on your smaller time frames. Okay. So from your 6 hour time frame all the way up until your daily, it's at a higher low. So we just jump right over to the daily time frame. Here we go. We're at higher lows. That was the higher low that was signaled on Friday. Okay. Am I expecting that this market is going to continue going down? Absolutely not. Even if it retraces and comes back down and tests this higher low that was created on Friday, hey, so be it. It's still in a higher low range. Okay, it's still in that higher low range. The market's still making higher lows to higher highs. Now I want to show you something real quick. The last higher low that was created on the daily. Look at what happened. All right, so the last higher low that was created on the daily was created on Friday, October 10. Okay, let's look at the 1 hour time frame. On October 10, this is what happened. Okay, market did this massive sell-off and everybody got excited and they're like, oh my God, market is going to hell. It's it's going to sell off. We're in, it's free fall. Okay. Price ended here on Friday. Look at what happened. It gapped up, consolidating between the last highs and lows for the entire week before coming back down, okay, and clearing this low that was made on Tuesday. Okay, well, what does that say? Notice this level has never been tested, never been broken. Okay, look at what the market did. It continued from that point to go up to make the all-time high again. All right. So it's important that you understand what is going on. All right. It went up and it made a higher high from that higher low that was made on the daily time frame. Okay. Now, similar situation. You have a daily higher low that's being made, as we see here on the daily. Okay. 1 month after the previous higher low was made, the last higher low that was made on the daily time frame. So if the market does the same thing each and every time, what is to stop this market from going back up and making another all-time high? Remember, I've always said to you guys, okay, every single high that the NASDAQ 100 makes will get broken. Every single one. Okay? The last time it happened, it broke it, higher high. Okay? Let's look at the previous time. It made it here, a higher low. This was on the monthly, came up, it broke again. Okay? Look at this one. Here, came up, it broke it. Let's look at this one. Came up, broke it. Every single high that the NASDAQ 100 has made will get broken. There's no question about that. All right. So just going back to showing you exactly what we're expecting for the week. So for this week, and switch charts, we go back to your 1 hour time frame. Now Friday, this is interesting what happened here on Friday. So on Friday, here we go. We had a market. This is where the daily higher low was created, right about 12 o'clock here. Came up, it made a lower high. This lower high actually translated all the way until the 2 hour. Notice on the 3 hour, nothing has been registered. So it's not unfair to expect that this level may be retested. It's not unfair. to expect that it will be retested. That's fair game because the market actually suffered exhaustion on Friday. All right. However, because you're not trading for your sells, you're not in the sell. This is where we actually took profit on Friday. At 4:30 p.m. on Friday, let's switch to a half-hour time frame. At 4:30 p.m. on Friday, that was your last exit. After coming in here at 12 p.m., going all the way up here on Friday, 5,000 pips. You would be super greedy in order to continue to expect that the market would continue going up. What are you going to expect? That the market is going to trade Saturday, Sunday morning into Sunday evening? No, take your profits because it came all the way up here. And now you wait. You're waiting for another setup. Because here's what can happen. If you took a sell from here on Friday evening, which is, I don't know why anybody would do that. Well, I shouldn't say that because I used to do that too. But you're just being plain greedy and plain silly. Okay. If you took a trade from here on Friday evening, here's what can happen. The market can open and just decide to gap up. Okay, and there goes your account. At the beginning of the week, you'd have a rough start to the week. Or the market can gap down, which means if it gaps down and you're out of the trade with your profits in hand, perfect setup for you to actually take the buy again. And that is why it's important to actually wait and not rush the process. All right. So what am I looking for this week? Well, the important thing is that the daily has finally completed that higher low. And if we're being honest with ourselves, going back to the daily time frame here, all right, if you're being honest with yourself, every single time the market made a higher low on the daily, it went back up and it made a higher. So it's only a matter of time before it happens again. No questions about that. Another thing that I want to show you, because remember, it's always important that you look at your largest time frame. So let's look at the weekly time frame, for example. And I want to show you something. Let me take all of these lines off here. Where are we? Let's take all those lines off here for a second. All right, let's look at the weekly. Remember, it takes 1 week for each of these candles to be formed. All right. So here we are on the weekly. This candle has expired. This candle has expired on last week. So you had the expiration of the weekly, the daily, and everything else below the daily time frame has been expired at 4 p.m. on Friday. All right. Look at this candle. Big exhaustion point right here. This was this here from this wick all the way to where the body finished was from 12 p.m. until 4:30 p.m. on Friday. Okay, look at your weekly time frame. Every time you have a week of intense selling, guess what happens? The following week, the market just continues buying for another 3 weeks or so. Okay, look at the last time you had a candle like this. This was back in July 2025. Okay, there you go. Intense selling. Okay, after that, 3 weeks of just going up. And then you had some consolidation before continuing up again. Then it dropped again and it went 3 weeks up again. Okay, so at some point in time, it needs to click to you for you to understand that this market is 100% bullish and there are no sells that are going to be held long-term in this market. If your strategy is to sell 100%, if your strategy is to sell for the long term, you are going to fail. All right? Because this market is 100% bullish at all times. Okay? Let's look at the monthly. Well, if you look at the monthly, look at what happens. This candle right here tells you everything that you need to know. There is literally no bearish momentum in this candle. No bearish momentum. Because we're already at the 9th of November, not even halfway. And all of this bearish momentum that you saw early in the month was canceled out last week. Or half of it has been canceled out last week. So I can tell you, rest assured, you can expect that the end of the year is going to be 100% bullish. Okay? Look at the previous months. Well, Every single time when the month opened, you had some bearish momentum before it got canceled out and you got another all-time high. Just look at it. Every single time, every high on the NASDAQ 100 will get broken. Just look at it. Every single high gets broken. Every single high gets broken. Everyone. So, real quick, I just want to show you. Okay, here's a high. I'm going to do some rough lines for you just so you can see it. So here's the first high. Okay. Oh, yeah. I had to put on back all my lines. Okay, so here we go. High number 1. Okay. High number 2. Broken. High number 3. Broken. High number 4. Broken. High number 5. Broken. High number 6, right where this yellow line is, broken. Okay. High number 7, which is the all-time high right here. I don't even need to put that in, right? That will get broken. Okay, so this is the only high that has never been broken on the NASDAQ 100 since its inception. And again, I will challenge anybody to show me any high on the NASDAQ 100 that has never been broken, with the exception of the last all-time high. All right, every single high will get broken on the NASDAQ 100. Every single high will get broken. No questions asked. Okay, so going back to everything, what am I expecting for this week? Well, the higher low has been signaled on the daily. So it's only a matter of you taking your largest higher lows all the way up to your all-time highs again. This is what patience looks like. You continue taking your higher lows. Whenever you get a lower high, you got one on Friday, take your profits and wait. There's no harm in waiting. The market always rewards the patient. Okay? So continue doing what you're doing. Excuse me, those of you who've been following the strategy, which is to take your higher lows, all the way up to your higher highs. In the event that you get a lower high that like you got on Friday, always take your profits and wait. There is literally no reason at all why you should not be waiting. None whatsoever. Another quick tip. I know I've said this before. I'll remind it to you. I'll remind you again. Let's say, for example, I was going out, and this is something that if you understand it perfectly, it will help you tremendously. If you're going to take a trade, any at all, okay? And when you look at your time frame that you're going to enter on, let's say, for example, I'm going to enter a trade on my 1 hour and I want to go in for a buy, okay? If you are going to go in for a buy and you see this here says lower high, it is an indication that you should not be taking that trade. Okay? You need to wait for a pullback. It's either you're going to wait for a low on another time frame or something, but you cannot be entering a trade at your highest point and expect to be 100% profitable. Well, you may get away with it because, of course, because the daily is at the higher at a higher low, and none of the other time frames are at highs. You know, all of the time frames of significance are not at high. So your daily is not at a high. Your 23-hour, your 4 hour is not at a high. Okay, you will get away with it because, of course, the market will consolidate and retrace and everything like that. However, if you're going to enter a trade, you do not want to enter at a high point. You want to enter from a low point. Low, higher lows, or lower lows. So remember, Three types of highs. And there's a video that I have on my YouTube channel. Guys, go ahead and search. There's a lot of content that I put out there. There's a video that I have on there which talks about the three types of highs and the three types of lows. Three types of highs are, first, you have a new high, you have a lower high, and then you have a higher high. Three types of highs. Three types of lows. Okay? First, you're going to have a new low, then you have a higher low, and then at some point in time, you'll see a lower low. Okay? So if you're going to enter from your buys on your largest time frame, you want to enter from one of these 3 points. Either your low, your lower low, or your higher low. Has to be one of those 3 points. If you're going to enter sells, which I don't recommend in a bullish market, however, sells do exist if you understand what you're doing. If you're going to enter sells, you need to enter from either a high, a lower high, or a higher high. That's it. So learn how to do this effectively. I guarantee you that your trading experience will be improved 110%. All right. So for this week, again, guys, can't stress it enough. Okay. Buy from your largest higher lows. Take your profit if the market is still consolidating on your lower highs and wait for your next higher. Last thing I want to say is remember, last two things. Remember, Mondays, Tuesdays, sometimes Wednesdays are when the market takes to consolidate, retrace, and display bouts of volatility before making the move of the week. Okay? The other thing that I want to say, if you want to be successful in trading, find one thing that works 100% of the time. Do that one thing 100% of the time, and you will be 100% successful. Every single time that I've lost a trade, it's because I have not done what I know works 100% of the time. I was impatient. Every single trade that you lose is lost through impatience. So learn to be patient, learn to wait for your signal, learn to be disciplined and wait for your one setup. You only need one setup that works. You don't need multiple setups. Trust me when I tell you. You need one setup that works 100% of the time. Do that one setup 100% of the time, and you'll be 100% successful. So guys, thank you again for watching. Now, those of you who are new to the channel, please like, share, and subscribe this content if it really is helping you. Please go ahead and do that because we want to share with everybody. I don't charge for anything that I do here. All of this is just my insights. And also it's there to help somebody to improve in their process. So God, thank you again for your blessing, for your goodness, for your love. Thank you for your mercy. Pray for each and every trader on here. Help them to be successful and help them to continue to practice and to be consistent. We pray in Jesus' name. All right, guys, one last thing. Those of you who are interested, I also have a Telegram page. And I also do have an Instagram page that I post some content on. So like I said, feel free to like, share, and subscribe if the content means anything to you. Let's get this together. Have a wonderful trading week. God bless. Bye-bye.